After reading the secret letter, Princess Xiaoyang's hands were trembling and her heart was pounding. When she put away the letter, she couldn't help but look up at the place where her brother was in seclusion. When she looked up again, her eyes were red. In less than 3 days, the foundation that the 7 great clans had accumulated for 1,000 years had completely collapsed. The 8 old ancestors and hundreds of intermediate and advanced martial artists had all died silently. This was the greatest mystery of the Northern Kingdom. No one could guess why it was like this. However, Princess Xiaoyang knew that it was her brother. All of this was done by her brother. Other than him, there was no one else in the entire Northern Kingdom who could do this. In an instant, Princess Xiaoyang suddenly knelt on the ground. After kowtowing 3 times to the place where Li Yuanqing was in seclusion, she immediately stood up and left the valley, just like Big Brother had once told her. A tiger with its teeth pulled out is just a pet cat. It's still at the mercy of the Li clan. Don't miss this opportunity. The 7 great clans are no longer a concern. All that's left is to stabilize the regime of the Northern Kingdom and let it grow quickly. Her brother had already helped her resolve the biggest hidden danger, so she would do the rest. Otherwise, she would be letting down her brother's efforts and not worthy of being his sister. Soon, Princess Xiaoyang of the Northern Kingdom's royal family brought 1,000 martial artists under her and went straight to the Wang clan, one of the 7 great clans. She saw the only 7th grade martial artist left in the Wang clan, Wang Xian. This person was her elder brother's former teacher. At this moment, he was already the Wang clan's patriarch and the leader of the 7 great clans. At this moment, the 7 great clans were in an extremely delicate situation. The slogan had been shouted, and those people had died silently. Someone suggested that they should look at the movements of the imperial court. If they could hide it from the imperial court and take the opportunity to negotiate with them, perhaps the aristocratic families would still have a chance of survival. There were also people who suggested that they split up and survive in a low-profile manner in the future. They would send some of the direct descendants away with the wealth accumulated by the aristocratic families and plan to make a comeback in the future. Their experts were gone, but they still had the wealth accumulated over 1,000 years. With this wealth and resources, they still had a chance. Wang Xian looked at the young Princess Xiaoyang and bowed to her without hesitation. Actually, when Princess Xiaoyang came to the Wang clan in Langya, many members of the Wang clan suggested that they detain the princess, using the princess as a threat to make the Northern Kingdom Emperor agree to the territory where the 7 great clans were located. They could completely become independent in terms of paying taxes and the weapons. It was equivalent to tearing the Northern Kingdom apart. Wang Xian refused. These people did not know that the person Li Yuanqing doted on the most was Princess Xiaoyang. The life and death of the 7 great clans are in their hands. These people still dared to hope to control Princess Xiaoyang. How could they not wake up when so many experts had died? Did they still have the strength now? The 7 great clans dared to openly disobey the decree. His Majesty issued a decree in anger to kill them all. Princess Xiaoyang did not stand on ceremony. "Princess, please spare my life. Please let me speak to you in private." Wang Xian looked at the martial artists holding weapons around him. Even if he was lucky enough to escape, not many people from the 7 great clans could escape. Moreover, where could they escape to? Every land belongs to the Northern Kingdom. Instead of escaping, it was better to beg the princess and use the wealth they had accumulated to beg for a way out. The 7 great clans deserve it. Some of us are more useful alive than dead. The Northern Kingdom was established not long ago, so the 7 great clans are willing to support the Li dynasty to atone for our crimes. Wang Xian knelt on the ground and begged nonstop. His head hit the ground with a bang. Whether the women and children of the 7 great clans could survive this time depended on this. 10 days later, Princess Xiaoyang returned to the imperial city. Accompanying her were more than 500 carts of treasures and weapons, as well as countless treasures that had been accumulated for thousands of years. This time, they were all brought back by Princess Xiaoyang. Along with them were Wang Xian and the other clan leaders of the 7 great clans. These people did not die, but became the slaves of Princess Xiaoyang's expedition. On the other hand, the Northern Kingdom had obtained more than 500 carriages of treasures at once. Not only did the treasury become filled, but the hidden dangers of the 7 great clans were also eliminated. They were waiting for the patriarchs of the 7 great clans to be sent to Imperial City. The news that the experts of the 7 great clans had been silently killed quickly spread throughout the entire northern kingdom. Everyone who heard this news at the beginning did not believe it. However, when they saw that Princess Xiaoyang had brought back 500 carriages of treasures and thousands of servants, the entire northern kingdom was in an uproar. The man who killed the 7 great clans silently by himself became a legend in the entire northern kingdom. He also became the most mysterious person in the entire northern kingdom. Some people even felt that he was even more powerful than the sword saint who destroyed the Wind Thunder sect with a single sword. Because Li Yuanqing's strike with the sword was even more powerful than a martial saint, so he was called a sword saint. In fact, this was what ordinary people knew. Because their strength was too low, they did not know that above the martial saint realm was the 9 grades of the Grotto Heaven realm, and above the Grotto Heaven realm was the 9 grades of the Spirit Transformation realm. Those people thought that the martial saint was the strongest expert in the world. In fact, there will always be more talented people. There were even stronger martial saints, but ordinary people did not know. Back then, when the Blood Flame sect was involved, a powerful martial saint appeared in the northern kingdom. Then, when the Wind Thunder sect was involved, an even more powerful sword saint appeared. The fact that this mighty figure had destroyed the 7 great clans overnight with his own power was enough to make all the forces in the northern kingdom revere him. They had originally thought that the northern kingdom was like a child holding a gold ingot in his hand as he walked around the city. However, from the looks of it, this was not a defenseless child. This was clearly a bloodthirsty demon king. Who would dare to provoke this demon king now? Wasn't that courting death? For a time, the territory of the northern kingdom became very peaceful. The commoners lived in peace. Even the officials were trembling with fear and did not dare to embezzle anything. Li Yuanqing was studying the heavenly cycle demon extinguishing array that he had signed in at the Wei clan last time. When Wang Shun came to deliver food to him, he would chat with him and tell him about the major events that had happened in the northern kingdom. The 7 great clans have all been dealt with by the imperial court. When the crown princess of the northern kingdom was conferred the title, it was extremely lively. There were people everywhere in the imperial city, congratulating the crown princess, Princess Xiaoyang. The princess's residence was changed to the crown princess's residence. Moreover, the crown princess even suggested that the entire northern kingdom should open some martial arts academies. The tuition fees would be free. As long as one is a commoner of the northern kingdom who is not even 15 years old, they can take the entrance examination. The commoners are all praising the crown princess's actions and are very supportive of her. Now, everyone is fighting to send their children to the martial arts academy. When Wang Shun mentioned the free martial arts academy, he was overjoyed. In the past, the northern kingdom only had the royal martial arts academy. Those were specially taught to the descendants of aristocratic families and the royal family to cultivate. It was almost impossible for ordinary people to enter the Royal Martial Arts Academy. It was too difficult for them to nurture a martial artist. This time, Xiaoyang used the treasures she had seized from the aristocratic families to set up countless martial arts academies. As long as one was a commoner who was not over the age restriction, they could come for the post-study assessment. Although there was no effect yet, Princess Xiaoyang's actions had completely won the support of the commoners of the Northern Kingdom. Because Princess Xiaoyang had given them hope that their child could also become a martial artist one day and bring honor to their ancestors, completely changing the fate of their family. Such a princess should become the crown princess. Princess Xiaoyang's residence has been changed to the crown princess's residence. Moreover, the princess has already begun to help His Majesty handle the court affairs. His Majesty doesn't seem to be in good health. Wang Shun was full of praise for Princess Xiaoyang. Although Princess Xiaoyang was a woman, she was much better than the 4th prince who was the crown prince. Li Yuanqing also knew that Li Huanjuan had used secret techniques to forcefully increase his cultivation a few times. In fact, it had already injured his foundation. His body was naturally not in good condition, so Xiaoyang spent more time helping him deal with the government. Okay, you can go back first. Li Yuanqing finished his cup of tea and gestured for Wang Shun to leave first. In fact, he had also received a letter from Princess Xiaoyang about her appointment as the crown princess. However, Li Yuanqing did not intend to attend the ceremony. He was focused on studying the array formation. The array formation he had signed in from the Wei clan was extremely profound, making Li Yuanqing very interested. This array formation also required deduction and calculation, and its defense was very strong. This made Li Yuanqing willing to spend more time studying this array formation. After destroying the 7 great clans, the effect of the Saint Extermination Stone was greatly reduced. Therefore, he spent the rest of his days cultivating the Saint Extermination Stone. As for the Clear Sky Sword Art, he had already reached the master level. It seemed very difficult to take another step forward. He could only slowly accumulate it over time. Li Yuanqing often went to the strange rocks at the back of the valley to sign in. There, he repeatedly signed in for a lot of vitality reinforcement pills. He used these vitality reinforcement pills to cultivate bit by bit and had not left the wilderness valley for the past 3 years. During this period of time, Princess Xiaoyang brought her martial artists and set up martial arts academies everywhere to accumulate the foundation of the Northern Kingdom according to what Li Yuanqing had told her. One day, Wang Shun came to deliver food to Li Yuanqing. During the meal, he talked about some major events that had happened in the Northern Kingdom recently. Your Highness, do you remember how the 7 great clans were destroyed by a mysterious person 3 years ago? Wang Shun suddenly mentioned the 7 great clans again. This made Li Yuanqing, who had been engrossed in studying the heavenly cycle demon extinguishing array, stop his chopsticks and look at Wang Shun in surprise. If he remembered correctly, he had spent 2.5 days 3 years ago disintegrating the 7 great clans overnight. However, not many people knew about this. Of course, Wang Shun was not among them. It has indeed been 3 years since the incident I heard about. Could it be that something happened again recently? Yes. I heard that this was done in a fit of anger by the mighty figure standing behind the Northern Kingdom back then. It was because of the punishment for the 7 great clans' disobedience. This mighty figure is really too powerful. It's simply unfathomable. You don't know, but recently, this mighty figure has made a move again. Wang Shun spoke with relish. He had no idea that the mighty figure he admired so much, who was a mysterious person like the god of the Northern Kingdom, was actually the crown prince, Li Yuanqing, whom he brought food to every day. Made a move? What move? Li Yuanqing was stunned. In the past 3 years, he had never taken a step out of the wilderness. Where did Wang Shun hear that he had taken action again? Li Yuanqing's question probably made Wang Shun even more excited. He almost danced with joy as he recounted what he knew. Your Highness, you don't know. Her Highness, the Crown Princess, has been promoting the Martial Arts Institute all these years. The Grand State Preceptor, who was originally in charge of the Royal Martial Arts Institute, has always said that the expenses of the ordinary Martial Arts Institute are too high and that it should increase the usage of the Royal Martial Arts Institute. Because of this, he has repeatedly petitioned His Majesty in the Imperial Court to cancel the expansion of the ordinary Martial Arts Institute. Who knew that after the Grand State Preceptor insulted Her Highness in the royal court, the Grand State Preceptor died silently because His Majesty was merciful and did not punish him? The mighty figure is still powerful. The Grand State Preceptor is someone who has 1 foot in the peak of the martial saint realm. He still died silently. When he was discovered, he was actually on the bed, but his wife didn't notice at all. It's exactly the same method as the mighty figure from 3 years ago. At this point, Wang Shun had a look of admiration on his face. Now, that mysterious mighty figure was not only Wang Shun's idol, but also the pillar of the entire Northern Kingdom. It seemed that as long as he was around, the Northern Kingdom would be able to live in peace for a long time. However, no one knew that the mysterious mighty figure was actually Li Yuanqing. This is no longer that person. Who did you hear it from? Moreover, the Grand State Preceptor died just like that. Didn't anyone investigate? Li Yuanqing found it a little funny. He had not left the valley for 3 years. There was still a legend about him in the Northern Kingdom. Moreover, once someone died silently, someone would think of him and think that he was the one who did it. Only Li Yuanqing knew that he was not the one who killed the Grand State Preceptor. He had not left the Wilderness Valley for 3 years. Princess Xiaoyang immediately investigated. who knew that the Grand State Preceptor had embezzled a large amount of funds from the Royal Martial Arts Academy over the years. Even some of the treasures that the royal family had bestowed to the Royal Martial Arts Academy had been embezzled by the Grand State Preceptor. Princess Xiaoyang found a lot of evidence in the basement of the Grand State Preceptor's house. If not for that mighty figure, who would have the ability? Wang Shun shook his head and told Li Yuanqing. After the incident with the Grand State Preceptor, the Royal Martial Arts Academy had actually begun to increase the number of spots for recruitment every year. The increased spots were all selected from the ordinary martial arts academy. These people would also be qualified to enter the Royal Martial Arts Academy in the future. This was personally done by that mighty figure. A commoner has requested for the Northern Kingdom's temple to worship this mighty figure, so that they can make ordinary commoners pay their respects to this mighty figure. The cheers are very high now. Everyone in the wilderness is signing a petition. They plan to persuade the imperial court to worship this mighty figure and give him a title. When Wang Shun said this, Li Yuanqing, who was drinking tea, almost spat out his tea. How could this be? He was still so young. Was he going to enjoy the sacrifice of the temple like the founding ancestor of the Northern Kingdom? What did you say? Worship? Worshipping a live person? That's right, that's right. This mighty figure is really a saint. He's the stabilizing force of the Northern Kingdom. He should enjoy our worship. There are also rumors in the wilderness that the Northern Kingdom is prosperous. There hasn't been a beast tide for so many years. The citizens and soldiers of the Northern Kingdom should confer a title to the mighty figure. Wang Shun felt that His Highness' reaction was a little strange. In fact, the commoners only wanted peace. Someone like that mighty figure should enjoy the worship of the common people, just like how they worship the founding ancestor of the country. Your Highness, you don't know how difficult it has been for the Northern Kingdom all these years. Everyone is saying that the founding ancestor of the Northern Kingdom has already passed away. If there are no mighty figures to support the Northern Kingdom, there will soon be war. It's better to be a dog in a prosperous era than be a man in a chaotic era. Wang Shun looked at Li Yuanqing's unhappy expression and said tentatively, the Crown Prince had been staying in this wilderness valley all year round and had no idea that the Northern Kingdom was in turmoil. After all, the Li dynasty had only been established for 100 years. It was a country that even the founding ancestor could die in. However, it was so vast. How difficult would it be to maintain peace for decades or centuries? The commoners only wanted this country to remain peaceful. Li Yuanqing lowered his head and drank his tea. He did not say anything else and only waited for Wang Shun to leave. Li Yuanqing took a stroll in the wilderness valley. When he reached Clearwater Lake, he made up his mind. His figure quickly disappeared. 2 to 4 hours later, he appeared in the hinterlands of the wilderness. This place was almost an endless mountain range, and the terrain was dangerous. It was not suitable for humans to live in at all, but it was a paradise for vicious beasts. Along the way, Li Yuanqing saw many strange vicious beasts. He walked 300 miles east from the hinterlands of the wilderness. There was a mountain with a lot of jade on it. Moreover, there were many stones at the foot of the mountain that contained gold and copper. Li Yuanqing stopped and took a few more glances before continuing forward. Soon, he saw a vicious beast that looked like an ox. It had a red tail and a bulging piece of meat on its neck. This kind of vicious beast was called Ling Hu. Every time there was a beast tide, it would be the favorite vicious beast of the wilderness soldiers. This was because they could obtain a lot of meat by capturing it. Each of them weighed more than 500 kilograms. Of course, this kind of vicious beast was very fierce. It was difficult for ordinary people to escape even if more than 10 people encountered it. Moreover, this vicious beast was very smart. After seeing Li Yuanqing come over, it did not dare to approach at all and fled without a trace. This was because Li Yuanqing's aura made it afraid. Ow! At the foot of the Yang Mountain, Li Yuanqing suddenly let out a cry that sounded like a vicious beast. This sound spread very far and reached the highest mountain in the hinterlands of the wilderness. There, the Qilan beast was about to eat. There were thousands of vicious beasts prostrating in front of it. They all lowered their heads and let it stretch out its claws to pick and choose. Suddenly, it pointed at an especially majestic Ling Hu. indicating that it was today's breakfast. The Ling Hu was lying on the ground, but his huge body was trembling. He did not dare to run when facing the Qilin beast, looking like he was waiting for death. The remaining vicious beasts stood up one by one when they saw that the Beast King had already chosen its food. It automatically made room for the Beast King to eat. When Li Yuanqing's voice reached the Qilin beast's ears, it jumped in fright and gestured for all the vicious beasts to quiet down. Then, it listened attentively. Soon, it stood up and patted the Ling Hu. Then, it let out a long cry as if in response. Then, with its food, he charged towards Yang Mountain in a mighty manner. It ran exceptionally fast. The Ling Hu who was going to be eaten by the Qilin beast looked at it in a daze. Under the surveillance of a group of vicious beasts, it obediently followed the Beast King to Yang Mountain. Li Yuanqing, who was standing at the foot of Yang Mountain, quickly saw a vicious beast that looked like a sheep. However, it had 9 tails and 4 ears, and its eyes were on its back. When it saw Li Yuanqing, it ran away from afar, looking rather timid. An earth-shattering commotion sounded. It was as if there was thunder on the ground. More than 1,000 vicious beasts surged over. The one running at the front was the Qilin beast. Not far behind it was a group of vicious beasts who surrounded a Ling Hu that looked like a small mountain. When the Qilin beast saw Li Yuanqing, it seemed to be abnormally excited. It circled around him and even deliberately lowered its head so that he could touch it. Go find Hu Jujiu and ask her to send a message to Zhaoyang and ask Li Huanjuan to come and see me. This Qilin beast could understand human language, and it could communicate with Hu Jujiu. The key was that it was very fast, so it should be good for communication. As expected, the Qilin beast completely understood Li Yuanqing's words. After it circled around Li Yuanqing in a fawning manner and roared at the countless vicious beasts behind it, the vicious beasts lay down and slowly dispersed. Soon, only the Qilin beast and the trembling Ling Hu were left in front of Li Yuanqing. The Ling Hu's eyes were wide open as it looked at Li Yuanqing in shock. It suddenly knelt down towards him with limp knees, and its eyes were moist as if it was about to cry. This Ling Hu looked like a cow, but it was much bigger than a cow. Even though it was half kneeling, it still looked much taller than Li Yuanqing. Moreover, its head kept nodding at Li Yuanqing, its eyes filled with pleading and pity. Although it could not speak, Li Yuanqing understood what it meant. It seemed to be begging him. The Qilin beast was a little angry. It raised its claws as if it wanted to slap the Ling Hu's head. Its claws were extremely sharp. In addition, it felt that the Ling Hu did not know the rules, so it slapped out angrily. However, the Ling Hu seemed to be stunned and did not dare to dodge at all. Stop. Since I've seen it, it can be considered fate. Let it live in the valley. Li Yuanqing's call to stop scared the Qilin beast so much that its slap changed direction. Then, it looked at the Ling Hu with envy and barked at him, although he did not know what they were saying. However, Li Yuanqing looked at the Ling Hu's overjoyed expression and how it kept nodding its head. It even walked up to Li Yuanqing and half knelt down, stretching its head over as if it wanted to carry Li Yuanqing. The soldiers of the wilderness had been dealing with vicious beasts all year round. They had also captured this kind of Ling Hu and tried to make it their mount, but they had never succeeded. This was because this vicious beast had a violent temper. It was huge and ran especially fast. Once its eyes turned red, the impact would be very strong. Even if it was caught, it would crash into the stone wall and seek death. However, this Ling Hu seemed exceptionally docile at this moment. This reminded Li Yuanqing of the big yellow bull in his previous life. He simply jumped onto the Ling Hu's back and let it carry him back to the wilderness valley. The Qilin beast nodded at Li Yuanqing 3 times before quickly disappearing. Sitting on the wide back of the Ling Hu, it ran steadily and quickly, which made Li Yuanqing somewhat satisfied. Soon, they returned to the wilderness valley. Li Yuanqing jumped down and patted the Ling Hu's head. You can hunt for food in this valley. You're called Cow. Just come over when I call for you in the future. If you don't want to stay here anymore one day, you can return to the hinterlands of the wilderness. I won't stop you. Li Yuanqing looked at the Ling Hu. In his heart, this Ling Hu was the enlarged version of the bull he had seen in his previous life. However, everyone in the northern kingdom called them Ling Hu. He felt that it was a mouthful, So he decided to change the Ling Hu's name to Cow. This way, it would become its name and save him the trouble of thinking of a name for it. Moo, moo. When Cow heard that it had a name, it seemed to be very happy. It could not help but cry out in joy. These vicious beasts were actually very smart. They could also cultivate. After transforming into human form and cultivating the larynx, they could speak. Of course, at that time, those who could finally transform could be called demonic beasts. Cow had escaped death. Every once in a while, the Chilean beast would choose its food at will. None of the chosen ones could escape and could only accept their fate. Unexpectedly, not only did this smartling who not die in the end, but it had a name. It was naturally very happy. This valley was very big. Even if Cow was huge, it was enough for it to go around and have fun. Furthermore, there was no risk of it being eaten at any time, so it was naturally willing to stay in this valley. The Chilean beast quickly found Hujujio, and Hujujio informed Princess Xiaoyang. She couldn't speak, but she could write. All these years, she had been using this to communicate with Xiaoyang. When Princess Xiaoyang found out that her brother wanted to see her father, she didn't dare to delay for a moment. She quickly went to see Li Yuanqing. At this moment, Li Yuanqing was summoning the imperial physician for consultation. He had also promised the imperial physician that he would go to the summer residence to recuperate for half a month. However, when Princess Xiaoyang mentioned that Li Yuanqing wanted to see him, Li Yuanqing immediately sat up from the throne, scaring the imperial physician who was about to leave to kneel down hurriedly. "Your Majesty, your body can't be agitated. Your emotions can't fluctuate. You can't overwork yourself. You have to recuperate. You'd better. Imperial Physician 1, you can leave now. Get out." Li Yuanqing's surprise could not be described with words. Crown Prince Yuanqing was actually willing to see him. As long as he saw him, could he explain to him that he had no choice but to issue the imperial edict many years ago? No, this was no longer the time to explain the past. This was the time to make Crown Prince Yuanqing feel a sense of belonging to the Northern Kingdom and be willing to take action at the critical moment. For a moment, Li Yuanqing's heart was in turmoil. He ignored the imperial physician's repeated instructions and instructed people to immediately set off for the Wilderness Valley, as fast as he could. The next evening, Li Yuanqing arrived outside the Wilderness Valley. He felt extremely tired. Coupled with the fact that he had forced himself to travel, he looked exceptionally haggard. However, Li Yuanqing thought for a moment and asked his entourage to wait at the military camp while he went to the Valley of the Wilderness alone. After entering the valley, he suddenly saw a Ling Hu, whose body was like a small mountain, eating leisurely by the lake. When Cow saw Li Yuanqing enter, it rushed up and looked at him warily. The ground began to tremble. Its nostrils kept emitting steam. Then, it dug its hooves into the ground and looked at Li Yuanqing covetously. Li Yuanqing looked at the Ling Hu, but he did not dare to attack it. After all, the vicious beast that could appear here must be related to Crown Prince Yuanqing. In the past decade or so, he had never had the chance to see Crown Prince Yuanqing again. Moreover, he would have to protect the Northern Kingdom's empire in the future. At the thought of this, Li Yuanqing even cupped his hands at Cow. "I'm the Emperor of the Northern Kingdom, Li Yuanqing. I'm here to see the owner of this valley. Please make an exception." Sure enough, Li Yuanqing's guess was right. When Cow heard his words, it actually took a few steps back. Then, after glancing at him, it led him in a direction proudly. Before Li Yuanqing walked into Li Yuanqing's small courtyard, he heard a very calm voice. "The living will not be worshipped. I like peace and quiet, not the incense of the human world. If you want to stabilize the fate of the country, you can erect a huge rock at the entrance of the Martial Arts Academy. On it is a sentence: if you offend my Northern Kingdom, you will be punished no matter how far away you are. Below is the signature Li. Consider it my protection for the people of the Northern Kingdom." This was the first time Li Yuanqing had called Li Yuanqing over. He still did not see him, but he was willing to protect the citizens of the Northern Kingdom. He did not consider setting up a temple to worship him. His cultivation path was different from others. He needed to sign in constantly and then cultivate and accumulate, unlike some people who needed to enjoy the incense offerings of the citizens of a country. Upon hearing Li Yuanqing's words, Li Yuanqing, who was originally extremely nervous, instantly understood that Crown Prince Yuanqing was referring to the petition by the commoners in the country and the local appeal for Li Yuanqing to establish the longevity temple to enjoy offerings. In fact, Li Yuanqing had originally thought of setting up a temple for Crown Prince Yuanqing for the sake of the Northern Kingdom's empire. After all, the Northern Kingdom's foundation was insufficient and unstable. If there was a mighty figure who was willing to protect the Northern Kingdom, then he was more than happy to do so. He was willing to give it a try no matter how overboard it was, let alone giving him a title. This emperor, who could easily abandon his children, valued the empire of the Northern Kingdom more than anything else. Today, Li Yuanqing had said these words and agreed to protect the citizens of the Northern Kingdom. This made Li Yuanqing overjoyed. He even wanted to kneel down and kowtow to Li Yuanqing. However, he had only knelt halfway when he could not bend his knees no matter what. Although we're not fated, we're still father and son. Just work hard and love your people in the future. Li Yuanqing still did not let Li Yuanqing kneel. Although he once had hatred, when he saw that Li Yuanqing's body was already damaged, he still felt some pity for this man who was struggling bitterly. Wasn't the reason why he was so humble because he wasn't strong? Therefore, he would continue to hide and sign in here to accumulate strength. Unless something major happened in the Northern Kingdom, he would definitely not leave. The founding ancestor of the Northern Kingdom was no longer around. Without his protection, the Northern Kingdom had not been at war for more than 10 years under Li Yuanqing's management. It was not easy for him to hold on. Yes. Although Li Yuanqing did not see Li Yuanqing or kneel down, he did not dare to neglect the greatest backer of the Northern Kingdom. Instead, he bowed respectfully to the small courtyard. He did not dare to be impudent just because this person was once his crown prince. The imperial decree back then was the greatest regret of his life. The petition, which was 10 meters long and 5 meters wide, was pulled out by a few eunuchs and presented to Li Yuanqing. It was densely packed with handprints and names. On this petition was the suggestion to establish a temple for Li Yuanqing. Originally, the Northern Kingdom was in a precarious situation. Li Yuanqing wanted the entire world to know that the Northern Kingdom had produced such a powerful martial god paragon. He even wanted to establish one temple in every county. He wanted to reassure the commoners and himself. However, how could he dare not do what Li Yuanqing had instructed him to do? Not only did he have to do it, but he also had to think of a way to do it beautifully. Therefore, Li Yuanqing was very annoyed when he looked at the petition. Princess Xiaoyang frowned at the side. She knew her brother's personality. Even the people from the 7 great clans did not know that they were completely destroyed overnight. This meant that her brother wanted to keep a low profile. However, the current situation in the Northern Kingdom needed to let the world know that the Northern Kingdom was guarded by a powerful martial saint. Sometimes deterrence was more frightening than real war. In the end, Princess Xiaoyang came up with a compromise. Father, leave this to me. I know what my brother means. Li Yuanqing had indeed forced himself to go to the wilderness. The imperial physician wanted him to rest, but when he heard Princess Xiaoyang's words, he could only wave his hand and signal for her to deal with it. At this moment, he had his own selfish motives. He could only leave this matter to Princess Xiaoyang. No one else could do it. The wilderness valley was silent after Li Yuanqing left. Only Wang Shun would occasionally come to deliver food to him and talk about the major events that had happened in the Northern Kingdom. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Wang Shun and Li Yuanqing chatted about some important matters in the Northern Kingdom and mentioned Princess Xiaoyang. The princess is really amazing. She has erected stone tablets in front of the gates of hundreds of martial arts academies in the country. On them, it said, "Those who offend the Northern Kingdom will be punished no matter how far away they are." There is even the word Li written below it. Princess is really a woman who is not inferior to men. She said such heroic words and set up this monument to let the people of the country see her ambition and the power of the Northern Kingdom. When she set up the monument, the princess said that this sentence will be engraved in the hearts of all martial artists in the future. This is how martial artists should serve their country and family. The Northern Kingdom had only been established for a short period of time. Its foundation was insufficient, and there were no strong masters to protect it. It had never been united. Princess Zhaoyang cleverly used Li Yuanqing's words. It was used to gather the hearts of the Northern Kingdom's martial artists and ordinary people. Li Yuanqing had promised the emperor of the Northern Kingdom, Li Yuanqing, to set up the stone tablet to protect the Northern Kingdom. He did not expect Zhaoyang's treatment to be so effective. "Your Highness, you don't know yet." Actually, Princess Zhaoyang didn't say that. The princess said that this was said by the martial saint, who is guarding the Northern Kingdom. Moreover, the imperial court has opened up the old residences of the 7 great clans that have been confiscated. As long as you are a commoner of the Northern Kingdom, you can visit the places where the martial saint killed the 7 great clans overnight. They can also visit the mountain range of the Wind Thunder Sect's headquarters at will. The imperial court even sent people to set up tea and porridge stalls there. They provide hot porridge and cold tea for free. When Wang Shun said this, he could not help but laugh. Ordinary people originally worshipped martial saints and felt that these were otherworldly experts. They had to worship wherever they went. If a country did not have the protection of a martial saint, ordinary people would be terrified. At this moment, the imperial court allowed everyone to worship the Holy Land. This was very effective in inspiring the people. This is not bad. Li Yuanqing couldn't help but laugh. Princess Zhaoyang's actions reminded him of some famous people's former homes or places where famous people fought or went to in his previous life. They were all set up as places to visit that needed tickets to enter. Meanwhile, the Northern Kingdom provided tea and hot porridge for free, which was what the people wanted. In the long run, the Northern Kingdom would definitely win the sincere support of the commoners. Only when the martial artists of the Martial Arts Academy grew up would the Northern Kingdom become completely powerful. Seeing that the Crown Prince was happy, Wang Shun quickly added, "Your Highness, we also have a martial arts academy in the wilderness. It's especially close to here. If you have nothing to do, go out and take a look. There are some things that you have to see for yourself to know what it looks like. I can't even say it properly. You don't have the chance to go to the 7 great clans, so it's quite good to go to the Martial Arts Academy to take a look." Wang Shun did not know that the martial saint he worshipped was actually the Crown Prince he had always served. He felt that it was a pity that the Crown Prince could not leave the wilderness to visit the 7 great clans. However, the Wilderness Martial Arts Academy was very close to here, so he kept urging the Crown Prince to go down and take a look. Originally, Li Yuanqing had been exiled to this place. Even though he was a sinner in name, everyone in the wilderness knew that no one treated the former Crown Prince as a sinner as long as he did not leave the wilderness. No one would spout nonsense in this vicinity. "Got it. You can leave now," Li Yuanqing said lightly. Wang Shun bowed and left. He took a stroll in the valley as usual. However, he was a little frustrated today and could not calm down. He simply followed his heart and went to the Martial Arts Academy in the wilderness. In the past, the Northern Kingdom only had the Royal Martial Arts Academy. That was a place where only the descendants of the royal family and the aristocratic families could study. However, this martial arts academy in the wilderness was for ordinary people. As long as they met the requirements, they could try. The country provided all the expenses for free, and Li Yuanqing was the one who suggested to Zhaoyang that she look for those aristocratic families directly. Back then, the 7 great clans had accumulated wealth for more than 1,000 years. In order to survive, the clans were forced to take it out. There was still a long distance to the Martial Arts Academy. Li Yuanqing saw many commoners on the road with joy on their faces as they dragged their children towards the Martial Arts Academy. Moreover, there were more and more people. In Li Yuanqing's memory, this scene would only appear during the New Year or when His Majesty pardoned the world. At this moment, Li Yuanqing was dressed in white. He stood by the side of the road and heard a commotion. He even saw a young man who was wearing tattered clothes and emitting a stench. His clear eyes were looking at the Martial Arts Academy with great yearning. The young man felt extremely inferior. He tugged at his tattered clothes and did not dare to move forward. "I heard that there's an exam. Anyone below the age of 18 can try. If they're chosen, the Northern Kingdom will bear the cost and not have to eat the food at home. Yes, I can fill my stomach there. I can eat, wear clothes, and cultivate." Such words seemed to have attracted this self-deprecating young man. He was already like this, with clothes barely covering his body and an empty stomach. What was there to be afraid of? This was the worst he could be. He might as well try his luck. The young man was very dirty. He slowly walked towards the entrance of the martial arts academy and saw a huge stone erected at the entrance. The stone was made with top-grade white marble. It was 100 meters tall and was placed at the entrance of the Wilderness Martial Arts Academy. Everyone who entered and exited could see the huge rock at first glance. There was a sentence carved onto the white jade. Those who offend my northern kingdom will be punished no matter how far they are. It was signed with the word Li. Every word on it was taller than a person. After it was carved, it was even smeared on with a black or powder, making the words appear even deeper. Even if they were far away, they could see this huge white jade at a glance. This stone wall had already become a scenery in the wilderness. It had become a landmark building in the wilderness. Although Li Yuanqing was already in his 30s, he still looked like an elegant young man because of his cultivation. Moreover, because of the marrow-cleansing pill in his realm, even if Li Yuanqing did not say anything, just by standing in the crowd, he could become the most dazzling person. This was because as long as one was not blind, they would be convinced by his bearing. They saw this young man who was like a legitimate immortal in the crowd at a glance. Therefore, very soon, martial artists walked over to him and signaled that he could sign up for the Martial Arts Academy exam today. Li Yuanqing shook his head gently and smiled, indicating that he was only here to take a look. This made the martial artist feel a little regretful, but he quickly felt relieved. This was because he could not see through the strength of someone like Li Yuanqing. It made him believe that he might be a disciple of a large clan. He could also believe if one said that he was a general or the son of a noble clan. However, he would not believe that this person is a prince because everyone in the Northern Kingdom knew that His Majesty only had 2 princes left, the first prince and the 4th prince. Both of them had been crown princes before, but they were crippled in the end. The current crown princess was Princess Xiaoyang. No one would have thought that the person with an unparalleled aura like a legitimate immortal was the former crown prince, Li Yuanqing. I got in, father. I was chosen. A sudden shout of surprise jolted the crowd who were anxiously queuing. Then, they saw a dark-skinned youth jumping and crying with joy. At his happiest moment, he was pulled towards the boulder by a slightly hunchbacked old man. The 2 youths who were still waiting in line to be chosen revealed extremely envious gazes. Meanwhile, the dark-skinned youth and his father knelt down under the huge rock in front of the tens of thousands of people in the Martial Arts Academy. They kowtowed 3 times to the huge stone. As for the envious onlookers, they did not find it strange. In any case, all the prospective martial artists who had been chosen would come here to kowtow to this huge rock. There were also people who knew that this sentence on the huge rock was said by the guardian of the Northern Kingdom to Princess Xiaoyang, and had asked her to establish the Martial Arts Academy. Therefore, the children of ordinary people have the chance to become martial artists in a single bound and be respected. These people were extremely grateful to the guardian, so they naturally used the method they approved to express their joy. Li Yuanqing, who was standing beside the huge rock, looked at the happy father and son in surprise. His originally calm and indifferent state of mind actually had a hint of joy and happiness. It turned out that secretly helping others and changing the fate of so many people was also a very happy thing. Xiaoyang did a good job. The young beggar in tattered clothes was also being selected. The members of the Martial Arts Academy looked more open-minded. They did not deliberately make things difficult for him because of the stench on his body, nor did they pity him for being a beggar. Instead, he was tested step by step according to the process. It was relatively fair and just. When Li Yuanqing saw this, he simply walked into the Martial Arts Academy. This was originally a training ground for the wilderness barracks. There were already houses and venues here. This place was built after building some railings and planting a large number of trees. The Martial Arts Academy might look empty and simple. However, Li Yuanqing casually walked around and found a huge library. Books were good things in the Northern Kingdom. Books were worth more than gold. Ordinary people would not have the chance to see so many books. This meant that the Martial Arts Academy was not perfunctory. While strolling around the Martial Arts Academy, Li Yuanqing casually saw a few intermediate martial artists wearing green robes. They should be the masters of the Martial Arts Academy. There were many people who entered the Martial Arts Academy. Most of them were parents who had come today to send their children who were chosen. Most of them were people who had not been chosen and wanted to come in to see what the martial arts academy was like. However, when this large group of people looked at the training ground in the distance and wanted to go over, they were stopped by someone on guard, indicating that this was an important place of the martial arts academy and outsiders were not allowed to enter. The large group of people looked extremely disappointed, but looking at the martial artists, they did not dare to say anything. Only Li Yuanqing frowned. Those are the most basic training grounds. Some beginner martial artists can also use them. This place used to be as spacious as a military camp. Isn't it good to let ordinary people train here? Actually, many ordinary citizens also had some very beginner martial artists. If they often had training in the training grounds, their chances of advancing would be higher. That was why Li Yuanqing said that. It was mainly because the martial arts academy's venue was too big. There were many training grounds in the place that was originally a military camp. Since it was empty, it was better to take it out for ordinary people to use. Li Yuanqing casually said what everyone was thinking. Therefore, as soon as he finished speaking, someone applauded and felt that he was right. Wasn't the martial arts academy doing quite well in the beginning? Why were they not allowed to enter here? Nonsense. We can't be greedy. The martial arts academy can only be opened for entry on these 2 days. After those quasi-martial artists start training, you're not allowed to enter or leave here casually. You're asking too much? The guard blocking these people looked extremely displeased. He felt that these commoners were really too greedy. It was already a great blessing to be able to enter the martial arts academy. They still wanted to enter the training ground? Don't forget that this is the martial arts academy. What kind of place is the martial arts academy? If it weren't for the Order of the Guardian of the Northern Kingdom, the Royal Martial Arts Academy would be the only one in the entire Northern Kingdom. You commoners will never be able to see the entrance of the Royal Martial Arts Academy. Many people were speechless by the guard's words. Only Li Yuanqing sneered. The Martial Arts Academy will be open to the common people. The guard scoffed at Li Yuanqing's words and looked at him as if he was looking at a fool. However, he heard someone suddenly clap and say something loudly. Yes, yes. The Martial Arts Academy should be open to the common people. You're right. Everyone was looking around because this person's voice was especially loud. However, Li Yuanqing looked at this person in surprise. The person in front of him looked at Li Yuanqing respectfully and expectantly, but there was a hint of a smile in his eyes. As he spoke, he cupped his hands towards him. His fingers were even trembling slightly. Li Yuanqing couldn't help but laugh when he saw the trembling fingertips of that person. This person was actually Wang Xian. He was also his teacher when he was the crown prince back then. The last time he went to the Wang clan in Langya, he was the one who had to take care of his wife in that small courtyard. He was also the Wang Xian who was spared of his life. Mr. Wang, how have you been? Crown dash, long time no see. At this moment, Wang Xian was exceptionally excited. He wanted to call him Crown Prince, but there was a crowd around him. Li Yuanqing had taken the initiative to greet him. It was obvious that he did not want others to know his identity. Back then, when Li Yuanqing left him alive, he had told him to forget everything that had happened to him and not say anything. Wang Xian would remember this until his death, so he did not know how to address Li Yuanqing. Perhaps others did not know who the Guardian of the Northern Kingdom was and who the boulder at the entrance of the Martial Arts Academy was for, but Wang Xian knew that Li Yuanqing was the Guardian of the Northern Kingdom. The reason why Princess Xiaoyang could become the Crown Princess and use all the treasures accumulated for 1,000 years by the 7 great clans to establish the Martial Arts Academy was because of Li Yuanqing. Everyone felt that the former Crown Prince was already a cripple after being sent to the wilderness by His Majesty. No one would remember him. However, Wang Xian knew that Li Yuanqing was the foundation of the Northern Kingdom. Only with him would the Northern Kingdom have a long and peaceful reign. The power and influence of these aristocratic families had already disappeared. Dean, the guard who was looking at Li Yuanqing as if he was an idiot, greeted Wang Xian respectfully. It turned out that after Wang Xian was spared by Li Yuanqing, he became the Wang clan's patriarch and joined Princess Xiaoyang's faction. When Princess Xiaoyang established the Martial Arts Academy, he petitioned to come to the wilderness. With his strength and connections, he could easily become the dean of the Martial Arts Academy. Since you call me Dean, I'll set a rule in front of everyone today. The Martial Arts Academy of the Wilderness is open to ordinary people. The training ground and the library are open to the people of the Northern Kingdom. The commoners who knew that Wang Xian was the dean were all a little uneasy and surprised. They did not expect to meet the dean at the Martial Arts Academy today. One had to know that the Martial Arts Academy was high and mighty to ordinary people, let alone the dean. The guard lowered his head in shock and half knelt down as he repeatedly agreed. However, after Wang Xian finished speaking, he instructed the people around him to expel this guard from the Martial Arts Academy. This was because he had offended someone he could not afford to offend. At this moment, those commoners who knew the cause and effect of the incident looked at Li Yuanqing differently. Some of them even hurriedly patted the non-existent dust on their bodies, as if they were afraid that something unclean would taint Li Yuanqing. Moreover, their gazes were extremely respectful when they looked at Li Yuanqing. There were even people who whispered that they knew that this young master was an extraordinary person. He did not look like an ordinary person at all. Just a casual word from him was enough to change the rules of an academy. Based on Li Yuanqing's seemingly joking words, the Martial Arts Academy of the Wilderness was open to everyone. Not only could ordinary people enter and leave as they pleased, but they could also use some of the training grounds of the Martial Arts Academy and even borrow the books from the library of the Martial Arts Academy. This unprecedented treatment was something that no one dared to imagine. It was because of Li Yuanqing's words that many people were guessing his identity. However, no matter how hard they thought, they definitely could not guess Li Yuanqing's identity. After the guard was expelled from the academy, Li Yuanqing was invited by Wang Xian to a quiet courtyard. Beside the half-moon-shaped door of the small courtyard, there was a cluster of purple bamboo. When the wind blew, the bamboo leaves rustled. When there were only the two of them in the small courtyard, Wang Xian solemnly bowed to Li Yuanqing. However, before he could kneel down, Li Yuanqing helped him up. I'm no longer the crown prince, so there's no need to bow to me. You were my teacher once, but I've also spared your life. We can be friends in the future. There's no need to be too nervous. Wang Xian knew Li Yuanqing's ability. He was an existence who had killed the two Wang clan's old ancestors in one night. He was so excited that tears almost fell when such an expert wanted to be able to be friends with him. So he kept saying that he didn't dare to do so. Since you've come to the wilderness, then train those martial artists well. The wilderness is a good place to train soldiers. In the future, the Northern Kingdom will need these people. Li Yuanqing could not help but laugh as he looked at the abnormally restrained Wang Xian. Therefore, he decided to leave the Martial Arts Academy. When he went out, he saw the tattered beggar crying tears of joy and kowtowing to the huge rock. Beside him, many people gave him a thumbs up in envy. From the looks of it, that little beggar should have been chosen by the Martial Arts Academy of the Wilderness. Li Yuanqing was in a good mood and quickly returned to the valley in the wilderness. Wang Shun, Zhang Quan, and the others did not know that he had gone to the Martial Arts Academy. In fact, when Wang Shun delivered food to Li Yuanqing, he could not help but feel regretful. He said that it was a pity that the Crown Prince didn't see how well the Martial Arts Academy in the wilderness was doing and how powerful the new dean was. Li Yuanqing was drinking tea leisurely when he heard Wang Shun's words, but he did not respond. The vicious Ling Hu that Li Yuanqing had named Cow was quietly eating grass by the Clearwater Lake. From time to time, it would raise its head and look at its master docilely before wagging its tail. Wang Shun stopped and looked curiously at Ling Hu, whose body was like a small mountain, when he saw that the Crown Prince was not very interested in what he said today. Your Highness, were you the one who picked up the Ling Hu? No, Cow? I remember that during the last beast tide, the general once brought more than 100 brothers and captured a Ling Hu that was much smaller than this. However, it died in the end, and the general distributed its meat. It was so delicious that it is still unforgettable to this day. Beef was delicious to begin with, and it was Li Yuanqing's favorite in his previous life. However, in this life in the Northern Kingdom, a cow was called the Ling Hu and was even a vicious beast. Li Yuanqing was a little speechless about this. Although Ling Hu also ate grass, its body was countless times larger than the cow of his previous life. When Cow heard Wang Shun mention about distributing the meat, its nostrils suddenly began to spew out hot air. It couldn't help but dig the ground with its hooves and stare at Wang Shun with an unfriendly gaze. It looked like it wanted to eat Wang Shun. Wang Shun did not dare to continue. This was His Highness' pet. He couldn't afford to anger it. He might want to eat Ling Hu's meat. That Ling Hu might even want to eat his flesh. Although he was an intermediate martial artist, he might not be able to win if they really fought. Therefore, Wang Shun smiled and quickly packed his food box obediently before leaving. After seeing Wang Shun leave, Cow calmed down. Then, it walked to Li Yuanqing's side and nudged him with its head. Its actions were very intimate. At this moment, it did not look like he was about to eat Wang Shun up. Li Yuanqing drank a pot of tea and walked towards the strange rock pile in the wilderness valley. He had been using the vitality reinforcement pill to cultivate for the past few days. At the same time, he simulated the heavenly cycle demon extinguishing array a few more times. After Li Yuanqing obtained this array, he had never given up on cultivating and simulating it. Because the simulation also needed a place, Li Yuanqing simply used some of the most common flowers, trees, and strange rocks in the wilderness valley to create a simplified version of the heavenly cycle demon extinguishing array. Then, he strengthened, improved, pondered, and considered how to cultivate this array formation to perfection and maximize its power. Because he was focused on studying this array formation, Li Yuanqing only remembered that he had yet to find a place to sign in when it was almost noon. He followed the strange rock and walked half a circle into the wilderness. Soon, a voice sounded. "Host, are you willing to sign in at the entrance of the ancient ruins?" "Sign in." As soon as Li Yuanqing's voice fell, "Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully. 100x reward, Vitality Reinforcement Pill. 1. Reward, 100 low-level Vitality Reinforcement Pill. 2. Reward, 1 Beast Origin Pill." These two choices made Li Yuanqing hesitate for a moment. He had gotten more than 1,000 Vitality Reinforcement Pill recently whenever he signed in. Although this thing was good, the effect would not be obvious if he ate too much. Moreover, he had more than 1,000 of them. He did not want any more of this. 1 Beast Origin Pill. Beast Origin Pills were for vicious beasts and were even rarer than Vitality Reinforcement Pill. Therefore, there was only 1 Beast Origin Pill out of 100 Vitality Reinforcement Pill. After obtaining the Beast Origin Pill, Li Yuanqing did not hesitate. He stretched out his hand and called for Cow, who had been following him not far away. He gestured for it to consume the Beast Origin Pill. Giving it a pill that he could not use was not bad. Cow was stunned when it saw the Beast Origin Pill. Although it could not speak, its eyes revealed extreme desire. It even bent its knees and half knelt in front of Li Yuanqing, nodding at him. Cow's body was abnormally huge. It still looked like a wall, even when it was kneeling in front of Li Yuanqing. When Li Yuanqing handed the Beast Origin Pill to Cow's mouth, it seemed to be raining. Water dripped to the ground and splashed some dust. Li Yuanqing looked up at the sky. How could this be rain? It was obvious that these belonged to Cow's tears. Although this vicious beast could not speak, it was smart. It could understand human language, so it naturally knew who was good to it and who was bad to it. Wasn't it obvious from Cow's expression when Wang Shun talked about eating Ling Hu's meat? It clearly understood human language. This smart big fellow. Li Yuanqing rubbed Cow's head and continued to simulate his heavenly cycle demon extinguishing array. Time passed quietly. It had been 5 years since Princess Xiaoyang was conferred the title of Crown Princess. In these 5 years, the Northern Kingdom was filled with martial arts academies, and the Wilderness Martial Arts Academy was the most famous. A few intermediate young martial artists were nurtured here because of Wang Xian and their reputation in the Northern Kingdom soared. Li Yuanqing had not been idle in the past few years either. He signed in to cultivate and simulate array formations. He threw useless pills to Cow. On the other hand, Cow, who had eaten countless pills from him, was not only smarter, but it also had an additional ability. Its body could change in size. When Li Yuanqing needed it as a mount, its back could become as big as a house. When Li Yuanqing cultivated, it could become more than half a meter tall and follow Li Yuanqing docilely. It looked like a harmless and obedient pet. In the past 5 years, the Emperor of the Northern Kingdom's health had been deteriorating day by day. He even fainted in the hall once. The emperor of the Northern Kingdom was not in good health. So many things were handled by Princess Xiaoyang. Princess Xiaoyang did not have a good impression of the aristocratic families. In addition, she had obtained hundreds of carriages of treasures from the 7 great aristocratic families. Therefore, the meritorious families had an extremely bad impression of Princess Xiaoyang. They all felt that if she controlled the regime of the Northern Kingdom, it would affect the interests of the families. Therefore, Princess Xiaoyang could not become the Great Empress. In order to stop Princess Xiaoyang from becoming the Great Empress, these meritorious families joined forces. Soon, another major event happened in the Northern Kingdom. When Wang Shun came to deliver food to Li Yuanqing, he had been depressed and sighing for the past few days. "Your Highness, the Northern Kingdom is currently in trouble both internally and externally. There are aristocratic families who have colluded with the Python clan. Although the aristocratic families have been captured by His Majesty, the clansmen of the Python clan are coveting the wealth and prosperity of the imperial city. They want to occupy the imperial city of the Northern Kingdom. There are 50 million people in the imperial city." Wang Shun mentioned the Python clan, which was a very ancient clan. It was only because the sacred object enshrined in this race was a huge python. This python could eat all active animals, such as humans or beasts. Moreover, it was rumored that it took 3 years to expel the bones of an elephant after devouring a giant elephant because of its huge size. The python was a vicious beast, but the people of the Python clan worshipped the python and used the python to intimidate everyone. The aristocratic families of the Northern Kingdom somehow colluded with them. If the python went to the imperial city, 50 million people would probably be devoured by it. It would only be a matter of time. That was why Wang Shun looked so worried this time. In his opinion, the guardian of the Northern Kingdom was a martial saint. Although he was very powerful, he was still human. Humans had their negligence. As long as they were not careful, the python might devour those ordinary citizens. After all, 50 million citizens were delicious food in the eyes of the python. His Majesty is currently critically ill, and Princess Xiaoyang is also extremely anxious. The Python clan has also raised conditions. If the Northern Kingdom is willing to become a vassal of the Python clan and provide 1 million people for the python to enjoy every year, the python will let go of the 50 million citizens of the imperial city. What Wang Shun said had already spread throughout the entire Northern Kingdom. Almost everyone knew about it. At this moment, Princess Xiaoyang had already tried many methods. There was no way to stop the python. The Northern Kingdom was about to be destroyed. Only then did the Emperor of the Northern Kingdom remember something Li Yuanqing had once said: "Don't come unless the kingdom is destroyed." However, the python was terrifyingly powerful. Could the guardian of the Northern Kingdom succeed this time? Xiaoyang was also very helpless. No matter how powerful her brother Li Yuanqing was, he was still a mortal even if he was an expert who could kill a martial saint. The Boss Serpent was a vicious beast. Moreover, the clansmen of the Boss Serpent clan relied on worshipping a Boss Serpent to cause fear in all directions. Many places became vassals of the Boss Serpent clan. They relied on the sacrifice of a large number of commoners every year to obtain the protection of the Boss Serpent. However, the matter was getting more and more intense. There were already commoners who had heard the news and began to flee everywhere. They had left the Northern Kingdom, especially the commoners in the imperial city. For a moment, they were all worried and wanted to escape. The Northern Kingdom were originally peaceful, but they were threatened by the Boss Serpent clan. They would probably suffer a calamity at any time. When Li Yuanqing heard Wang Shun mention the Boss Serpent, he fell into deep thought. In fact, he had not seen many vicious beasts in the Northern Kingdom. He had only heard of this Boss Serpent, but he had never seen it before. He had to plan how to deal with this Boss Serpent, so that the commoners would be unscathed. Less than 2 days later, Princess Xiaoyang quietly came to the Wilderness Valley and saw Li Yuanqing under the big pine tree by the Clearwater Lake. It had been 5 years since they last met. Princess Xiaoyang's cultivation level had already reached the intermediate 9th grade martial artist, which was even higher than the current emperor of the Northern Kingdom. Moreover, she became very beautiful because of her cultivation. Her eyebrows were similar to Li Yuanqing, with a hint of arrogance. When she didn't smile, she had a natural noble aura that made people afraid to approach her. When she smiled, It was like a beautiful flower blooming, making people feel the aura of spring. However, Princess Xiaoyang no longer had a smile on her face after the boss serpent incident. Even when she saw Li Yuanqing, she forced a smile. Big brother, the meritorious families are in cahoots with the boss serpent clan. Although we've exposed them, the boss serpent clan has taken a fancy to the imperial city of the northern kingdom. They said that they want to move to the imperial city and ask for 1 million people every year for that boss serpent to enjoy. Although there were many intermediate martial artists in the northern kingdom, there are only you and Hu Juzhou as martial saints. I have a chance to break through to the martial saint realm, but many martial saints have died in the past 1,000 years. However, the boss serpent has always been alive, and no one has been able to subdue it. Father and I discussed that if it doesn't work, we can give up the imperial city and escape with the commoners. But where can we go in this vast world? If the royal family of the northern kingdom is unable to protect these commoners and let them suffer the pain of the boss serpent, I won't have the face to ascend the throne. The boss serpent was the biggest problem Xiaoyang had encountered so far. This was not like the old ancestors of the Wind Thunder sect and the 7 great clans in the past. No matter how powerful they were still humans. If they were humans, they would have a way to deal with them. This boss serpent was a vicious beast. Moreover, she felt that there was no way out for them to deal with a vicious beast that had lived for countless years and had been raised by the boss serpent clan. At this point, she did not dare to beg her brother to do anything. She only wanted to talk to her brother and help her come up with an idea. According to her father, if it was for the sake of the northern kingdom, they could endure the humiliation and agreed to the boss serpent clan's conditions. Every year, they would sacrifice 1 million people to the boss serpent clan and give up the imperial city for the boss serpent clan to live in. They would choose another imperial city and retain the title of the northern kingdom. Li Yuanqing had been quietly listening to Princess Xiaoyang's words. He poured her a cup of tea and stood up to look at the surface of the Clearwater Lake. The lake water was sparkling, and the willow branches by the lake swayed in the wind. It was a beautiful scenery in the springtime. If they really let the boss serpent clan enter the imperial city, this scene would probably become hell on earth. Everyone would be terrified because they were in danger of being devoured by the boss serpent at any time. At that time, the northern kingdom would become the accomplice of the boss serpent. Such a country was destined to not last long. Xiaoyang, you've forgotten what I told you. A little girl like you should be happy and don't think too much. I'll give you a list later. Prepare those things according to the list. The sooner the better. Try your best to stall for time and bargain with the boss serpent clan. Wait for me to enter the imperial city. For 5 years, Li Yuanqing had been cultivating in this wilderness valley. Although he was still in the Grotto Heaven realm, he had a few trump cards in his hands. It was self-evident, be it the manipulation art, the Saint Extermination Stone, or even the great heavenly cycle demon extinguishing array. Therefore, he decided to leave the valley for the imperial city this time. Big brother, do you have a way to deal with the boss serpent? Is it dangerous? Although the commoners are important, I'm not father who thinks that the country is the most important. I'm Xiaoyang, your sister. You're the most important person in my heart. If it's really too dangerous and even threatens your life, don't go to the imperial city. This wilderness valley is much safer than the imperial city. Moreover, father asked me to send 4th brother to the Wilderness Martial Arts Academy this time. He said that in the entire northern kingdom, the wilderness is the safest. Xiaoyang smiled bitterly. The 4th prince had once been the crown prince, but he had lost his cultivation and had been raised in the imperial city like a cripple. However, her father was still thinking about him the most during the boss serpent disaster. He pitted his life and sent him over according to Li Huanjuan's wishes. Even if the 4th prince was a cripple and could no longer cultivate, he could still be considered a member of the Li dynasty if he lived well. Li Huanjuan prioritized the country. Whether it was Princess Xiaoyang or Li Yuanqing, he had once abandoned them. Li Huanjuan did not have any fatherly love for Xiaoyang and Li Yuanqing, but he had a lot of pity for the 4th prince, who seemed to have become a cripple and doted on him very much. Yes, the dean of the Martial Arts Academy in the wilderness is Wang Xian. He can be considered a great scholar. He is an upright and knowledgeable person. He has also submitted to you. He's very suitable to educate 4th brother. You need to tell someone to keep an eye on fourth brother and not let his old habit repeat itself. When the fourth prince was the crown prince, he had done many things like snatching women because of his lust. When Li Yuanqing reminded her, Xiaoyang quickly nodded and said that she would get someone to keep an eye on him. Moreover, she would get Wang Xian to personally teach the fourth prince. Even if he could not cultivate and was a profligate, he had to be a human. Then, Li Yuanqing gave Xiaoyang a list of what he needed. Xiaoyang took the list and left quickly. When she left, her brows finally relaxed. She was much more relaxed than when she came. Although she didn't know how her brother would resolve the boss serpent disaster, her brother's words made her feel extremely relaxed, and a huge burden was lifted from her heart. For the rest of the time, she did not care about anything. She only cared about stalling for time with the boss serpent clan and preparing the things according to the list. On Li Yuanqing's side, he patted Cow and jumped onto its back. He planned to go to another place before going to Imperial City. Before Li Yuanqing went to the Imperial City, he planned to make a trip to the hinterlands of the wilderness. All these years, other than signing in the Wilderness Valley, Li Yuanqing would go to the wilderness whenever he was free. There were many vicious beasts that were not even recorded in the royal library. Li Yuanqing remembered the habits and appearances of these vicious beasts. He remembered that he had encountered a rather special vicious beast in the wilderness. It was a little similar to the boss serpent that Princess Xiaoyang had mentioned. However, it didn't seem to be as big as Princess Xiaoyang said. He planned to take a look and see if he had seen a boss serpent before. Before going to the Imperial City, he wanted to understand the habits of the boss serpent. Then, he wanted to see how to deal with the boss serpent that specialized in eating humans and devouring millions of people every year. Moreover, Li Yuanqing had a plan in his heart, so he wanted to take a look at the hinterlands. The wind blew in his ears as he stood on the back of Cow. Moreover, because Cow was especially tall, when looking down from its back, one could see many new buds peeking out from the canopy, lush and green. A bird was startled from the branch and almost rushed into Li Yuanqing's arms, but he gently avoided it. Cow's huge body was too big for these birds resting on the trees. It was much bigger than a tree. Cow's speed was very fast. In less than 2 hours, they arrived at the hinterlands of the wilderness. Cow's roar soon reached the peak of Yang Mountain. Over there, the beast king Qilin also ran down happily. Behind him, there were thousands of various vicious beasts running over and prostrating in front of Li Yuanqing. The Qilin beast even rubbed against Cow enviously. This fellow who had almost become its food back then was now impressive. After becoming Li Yuanqing's mount, even he had to kowtow when he saw it. Cow, who had been rubbed by the Qilin beast, raised its arrogant head and ignored the Qilin beast. So what if it was the king of beasts in the wilderness? Its master, the nine-tailed fox, had a similar status as him. She was also its master's servant. So even though it was just a mount, its status was higher than the Qilin beast. It was an elder, so it would not bother with the fact that this brat had almost eaten it. Take me to the Grand Canyon. Restrain the remaining vicious beasts. Don't let them follow. Li Yuanqing did not stand on ceremony when he saw the Qilin beast. The Qilin beast was already the beast king of this wilderness hinterland. Behind it were its subordinates. He had something serious to do today, so he naturally could not bring a large group of vicious beasts. The last time he discovered that thing that looked a little like a boss serpent was in the wilderness canyon. The terrain of the canyon was very strange. There were cracks below and underground karst caves. Moreover, there was a strong wind blowing. The area was very large, and there were cliffs all around. Ordinary vicious beasts would not approach that place because there were countless dangers hidden in the cracks and karst caves. They would easily die if they went to the canyon. Vicious beasts were very smart. They would hide as far away as possible from unknown dangers. The Qilin beast understood Li Yuanqing's words and dismissed its subordinates behind it. Then, it led Li Yuanqing to the Grand Canyon in fear. This canyon was actually a very dangerous place for the Qilin beast. It would not come over easily, so it stopped before it led Li Yuanqing completely close to the canyon. From afar, they could see waves of white fog rising from the canyon. There were also cries that sounded like thousands of horses galloping. The more timid vicious beasts would tighten their tails in fear and run away. The Qilin beast was also afraid. It hid behind Li Yuanqing with a whoosh. As Cow was also standing behind Li Yuanqing, the Qilin beast was hiding behind Cow. Cow quickly raised its head, wanting to prove to the Qilin beast that it was not afraid. However, its tightly clamped tail and trembling legs betrayed it. Both of you stay here. Don't run around. I'll go down. Li Yuanqing stood by the side of the canyon and looked down. The thick white fog covered everything, making the bottom of the canyon look exceptionally mysterious. He couldn't see what was below at all. Of course, if they were to go down rashly, the strong wind might cause them to lose their balance and fall. Their corpses might not even be found. The Qilin beast and Cow were too weak, so he would not bring them along. At this point, Li Yuanqing jumped down. Cow and the Qilin beast were shocked. They took a few steps back and took another dozen steps back after they thought it. However, they were too close to the canyon. So when the strong wind inside blew up and brushed against the Qilin beast's eyes, it jumped away, but felt a burning pain in its eyes. It was so frightened that it did not dare to go forward. It was too terrifying. This gale could even hurt people? Li Yuanqing, who had jumped down from the canyon, also felt the strong wind in his ears. It was like a knife cutting his flesh. It was painful. Moreover, it didn't seem to be useful to open his eyes below because there was white fog everywhere. He could only use his divine sense to sense the location of the canyon. Li Yuanqing did not know how much time had passed before he fell to the ground after passing through the fog. He felt that the places he stepped on were all stone walls. Moreover, the stone walls were not sharp and sudden. Instead, they were very smooth. There was a fishy smell in the air, the sound of strong wind, and the sound of splashing water. Li Yuanqing could sense that there was a big river in the canyon. This was similar to the impression he had of the Grand Canyon he passed by last time. He followed the sound of the river and searched. Soon, he sensed a vicious beast approaching him at an especially fast speed. In just a few breaths, the vicious beast was less than a few hundred meters away from him. This speed should be very shocking. Li Yuanqing did not stand on ceremony either. He quickly attacked with the clear sky sword. He did not care what kind of vicious beast it was. As he stabbed out with his sword, he heard a rumbling sound. A huge thing landed in front of him with a bang. A squirming body that was more than 100 meters long was split into two by his sword. His sword energy was too sharp and directly split open a crack in the ground of the canyon. The python that he had slashed into two was still alive. The blood on its body splattered all over the ground, and the strong smell of blood instantly wafted out. The smell of blood was like a delicious temptation in this dangerous canyon. It attracted the vicious beasts hiding in the dark. When they smelled the smell of blood, they were all tempted. Cow, who was standing on the top of the canyon, listened to the strong wind. It did not retreat like the Qilin beast. It was his master's mount and had a higher status than the Qilin beast. It could not lose face now. Therefore, it took a huge step forward like a canyon. However, suddenly, the canyon emitted a loud vibration.